What a relief to know that you're not alone and that somebody else understands and will let you talk about your pain. So what I'd like to do now, the point of all this, I'd like to turn to some strategies for helping friends, helping yourself, helping strangers. The first thing, okay, we'll skip that one. First thing that I want to talk about is we need to let go of this myth that if we let someone honestly talk about their suicidal feelings, that they'll go through with it. Because if a friend tells you that they're thinking of killing themselves, how do we usually react? Anybody? How have we reacted in the past if a friend says, I'm thinking of killing myself? Anybody? Yeah, run, Carl. Any responses to that? Or maybe not?
Yeah, we got one.
We got one?
You feel very concerned for your friend.
Okay, you feel very concerned, yeah. Any thoughts of typical responses that people might have? I'm thinking of killing myself. I'm feeling suicidal. One back there?
Oh, okay. Are you crazy?
Are you crazy? Yeah, what else?
You'd probably tell them no, like, no, you don't.
No, you don't. Right, no, you don't. One up here, Carl. Raise your hand again. There, thanks.
You should go see a counselor.
You should go see a counselor, okay? Anyone else? So maybe some of our initial reactions is to try to send them somewhere else to get help, to say, no, you're crazy, or no, you don't. And all our reactions may be well-intentioned, but what we really need to do is not tell them they're crazy, not send them off initially, although I think that's good in the long run to send them to a counselor, and certainly not to say to them, no, you don't. Don't cut them off. That's the first point I want to make. Don't cut them off. Let them talk. And one of the things that you need to do is just stay calm. Even if your friend is bouncing off the walls, and appears highly agitated, don't let that scare you. You can just be a calming presence with them. Just stay calm. Don't let their emotional state fluster you or scare you. The other thing that I suggest that I've found helpful in all my work with suicidal clients is what I call going to their dark place with them. Whenever I teach students, and we do a workshop on this in my classes, I say, go to my dark place with me. What do I mean by that? Let me imagine what I think might happen after I die. Yeah, let me talk about it. Let me go to that dark place and just talk about it. Scary as it may be, believe it or not, by allowing me or your friend to talk about it, it loses its power if I can just talk about it. Just listen. Listen and let it run its course. I kind of use the metaphor, simile, I don't know what the right term is, but of a virus that needs to run its course. Some things we can't just fix with a pill. We have to let it run its course. So let it run its course. Let your friend just talk and let it run its course. And then try to understand their pain. Try to find some piece of pain that you can relate to. Now, maybe you've never tried to kill yourself or gotten to the point where you're, getting close to that thought, but surely you felt pain. Surely you felt despair. So if you can tap into some piece of pain that you felt and relate that does what's called installation of hope. I had it up there a few slides ago, but in other words, it shows your friend, hey, look, I got through this, and so can you. Or share a war story, as I say. Share one of your own stories. But don't do that too soon, because there's a tendency sometimes to want to save the person and say, hey, I got through this right away. Let them talk first. Let it run its course, and then share hope, share your own story. But be prepared to sit with your friend for as long as it takes. I know sometimes in this world with everything's quick and we're moving so fast-paced, we don't want to maybe sit with someone for an hour or so. But that's sometimes what somebody needs, is just taking that time out just to sit with them. Just to sit with them. And you can provide a lot as a friend. And yes, then eventually maybe take them to a counseling center, take them to get more professional help, but be there first for them as a friend or as a professor or as a colleague or whatever your situation is with the person. Okay, so next call. What about when the suffering friend is not someone in your residence hall, not someone in your class or at your workplace or in your family, but it's you? What if it's you and nobody sees it? How do you reach out? Because as we've talked about, it's hard to reach out because we're afraid what people will think, moral judgments or you're crazy or whatever kind of judgments they'll make, that whole mental illness stigma and moral stigma. So the first thing that I want to remind you is to tell yourself when you're feeling that way to remember that it's normal, not abnormal. And I think it helps to, when you're feeling that way, to imagine the millions of other people in the world at the same time who are sitting in their living room or their bedroom or wherever feeling the same exact thing as you are. To remember this is common and normal, not uncommon. So to remind yourself, what I'm going through is normal. That's the first thing. The second thing is to catch yourself spiraling. If you remember my conversation with Agnes, she talked about this idea of I spiraled and keeping myself from spiraling. There's a process that we go through when we're feeling despair and feeling suicidal where we convince ourselves that our life is hopeless and that we're all alone. And the more energy we give it, the worse it becomes. And it spirals down, it spirals down. To catch yourself and say, hey, I'm spiraling. And at that moment, to do the thing that's most uncomfortable, as I say, push your comfort zones and reach out. And reach out to do the thing that's hard to do. Now, if it's hard for you to pick up the phone and call a friend, you can do so anonymously. Every town has a community crisis line. And I have up here on the board the Coles County Crisis Line, the number 1-866-567-2400. You can call that number, and I just called it the other day to check with them to make sure, and they said, yes, you can call and you don't have to give your name. You can call and you can give a fake name, or you don't have to use any name. But when you're feeling that despair, you can call 24 hours a day and talk to another human being anonymously. There's also a counseling center here for EIU students. And might I add that if you check out their website, there's a lot of good information there, too, about suicide and warning signs and how to help yourself and how to help others. So check that out as well. And finally, if you feel so inclined, if you think you can do it, go ahead and call a friend, because no true friend will turn you away. No true friend will turn you away. They may not know what to do. They may not be here at this lecture tonight and have the skills, but you can tell them, you can say to them, just listen to me. Just listen to me. I remember in my own experience, one of my moments of despair, I was talking to my father, and he said to me, Nancy, I don't know what to do. I feel so helpless. I don't know how to fix it. We have that, we want to fix somebody's pain. And I just said to him, Dad, just listen. Just listen. So we can instruct our friends and tell them what we need. But above all, don't be a stoic loner. You don't have to be. And what if you've already, I know some of you may be out there thinking, well, wait a second. I've already lost someone that I love to suicide, a friend or a parent, whatever. What if you've already lost someone to suicide, and maybe you're sitting out there feeling guilty about what you did or you didn't do? Well, what I want to say to you about that is, if you commit a crime, feel guilty. Otherwise, guilt doesn't really make any sense. We can't feel guilty for things beyond our control and things that we don't know how to deal with. When I first started out as a school counselor about 15 years ago, I was scared, pardon the pun, but I was scared to death about the topic of suicide and how to deal with it. And I remember the very first time somebody came to me in my office and said, Miss Farber, because I was in New York then, I was Miss Farber. Miss Farber, we have a student who's suicidal. You may need to talk to her. And I remember feeling frightened. I didn't know what to say. I didn't know how to deal with it. And I just sat there praying that, I wouldn't need to talk to this student. It wasn't until I became a psychologist and started working, more intensely with people in crisis that I became comfortable and realized that it was okay. So please don't feel guilty and just, take what you learned here today and use it for the future. And finally, the last thing that I want to say to you guys is that when you feel alone, when you feel pain, when you feel that despair that we all experience as human beings, I want you to look around at people, just at people in the world, in your community. Look beyond the facades, look beyond the pretty clothes and houses, and remind yourself that everybody feels pain. Because we all feel pain. You know, we have this daily routine. We say, "Hi, how you doing?" "Fine, how are you?" Come on. That's not the truth. I mean, sometimes it is, but for the most part, we're not all feeling fine. I often wonder, what would it be like that if instead of saying, "Hi, how you doing?" "Fine, how are you?" we said, "Hi, how you doing?" "Well, you know what? I'm having one of those days where I'm just feeling some despair, just feeling kind of hopeless." And if the other person could say, "Yeah, I know what you mean. I've had those days myself," you know, what would that be like? Well, maybe we can't do that. Maybe we can. I don't know. But we can do one thing. We can look around and we can look into people's eyes and see them and know that even when they're smiling, that at times that they've experienced pain too, and that they will experience pain again tomorrow or the next day. That life is a mixture. It's joy and pain, up and down. It's not one thing. You know, we're all going to experience it both. I never know how to say it. Yin yang, yang yin. Anyone know? Yin yang, yin yang. I have that symbol up here because what it shows us is that it's about darkness and light, and that life is a mixture of darkness and light. It's always both. And if you notice this little hole here, it means even in the darkness, there's always a little light. There's always a little hope. And even when there's light, there's always that darkness lurking. So it's important to know that, to accept that life is a mixture of joy and pain. And if we can accept that and know that there are going to be hard times, then maybe it takes some of the power away, rather than expecting ourselves to always be happy. I like to think of life as, if we want to, we can think of it as a big therapy group. That's my bias. We're all here to heal each other. We all have pain, we all have wounds, and we can heal each other. When you go to Walmart, instead of going to the self-checkout counter, I want to encourage you to go to a human and to look that person in the eye. And with your eyes, just say to them, "I see you. I see you." And connect. I'd like to try a little experiment, if I will, as I kind of wrap this thing up. I want you to turn to the person next to you, whether you know them or not. Okay, just turn to the person next to you. Uh-oh. Oh, no, Dr. Farber's making us do something, my students are saying. Okay. Turn to the person next to you, if you feel comfortable doing so, okay? And just look them in the eye. Just look them in the eye, and with your eyes, just say to them, just say, without words, just say, "I see you. I see you." And smile. Okay, a little laughter on that one. So seriously, we can all fear each other or we can all help each other. And sometimes just looking a stranger in the eye and saying with your eyes, "I see you," sometimes that alone can be such a healing part of your daily experience. Because we're all in this together. Life is a mixture of joy and pain. So I'd like to end this. What we're going to do is I'm going to play you one more song, and then I'm going to turn it over for questions and answers. But I want to tell you a little bit about the song that I'm going to play. The song that I played you to start off the evening is a song that I wrote 14 years ago when I was feeling despair and felt alone. The song that I'm going to play you now is a song that I wrote a few months ago, and it's kind of the answer to that. So here we go. Oh, I need my pick. It's my favorite pick. Not that one. Did I lose my favorite pick? Oh well. We'll have to go with my non-favorite pick. Kiss it for good luck. All right.